Listen, there's 4 reasons your home service business is losing money from inbound leads, right? There's 4 reasons that those leads are costing you money instead of making you money. All right. Hey, my name is Bruce Hill. I make sales simple for businesses just like yours by teaching you to ask better questions. I'm making this video to help you turn more of those conversations into clients. And one thing I really pride myself on is keep it simple. I'm just going to give you the 4, and if you want to stay for the explanation to do that. One of the most aggravating things is people focus on watch time versus just adding value. All right, so let's get to it. Number 1, you're taking too long to call. All right, we're talking about inbound leads. It's tough. I know you're busy and there's a million things going on. If you got to automate it, all right? And shoot, I can help you with that. Shout out to Carver Sync. We can set it up. You got to give a call. I think I requested from home service businesses. I prompted this video. I corrected 3 quotes. Someone called me in 10 minutes. Someone called me an hour. Someone called me the next day. All right. Number 1, speed to lead. Number 2, let's see. How do I put it? Talking versus listening. Talking versus listening. Let me write this down. Make sure I don't repeat myself. This is where the better questions framework comes in. If you can listen, you can sell. All right. Talking doesn't close deals. Listening does. Number 3 is being the guide. All right. Setting the expectation. Educating the client when that time is right. And setting the next steps, not letting them figure it out for themselves. That's huge. And we'll talk about that. Number 4 is talking about the price before you talk about the value. When you do that, you become a commodity, right? You end up in a price comparison war. And we really want to position you where the value is so high that the choice to work with is obvious, even if it's a little bit more. Those are the clients I really love. In the middle of the road, even that a little bit high-end clients. We're not even talking luxury homes, but just a better quality client. And that's the name of my book, right? Better Questions, Better Clients. And the goal is we want people that leave five-star reviews, right? That send us referrals, that call us every time. It's a home. They're going to need you again. Are they going to call you again? Because they had a great experience. And so when we lead with price, you just put yourself in a numbers war. Maybe you win. It's a tough way to grow a business, being the cheapest, right? But if you can be the most valuable, now you have a competitive advantage. Without downloading the software, without hiring a bunch of people, without changing the sign on the building, making yourself more valuable is going to help you grow your business. So those are the 4 things. Now, what does that look like? Okay, if there's inbound lead, what does that look like? Let's talk about speed to lead. The first folks called me in 10 minutes. Beautiful. They ran down the service, time, cost, how much to expect, and they say, hey, we're getting an email with all this in there, and let us know when you want to schedule an appointment. I'm not going to work with that company. And what happens is they gave me information, but they didn't give me any guidance. So definitely points for speed to lead. They're the first to call. Sometimes you can win just by being the first. You don't even have to be the best if you're the first. But that was it. They're like, call us when you want to schedule an appointment. And I'm listening like, why aren't we scheduling an appointment right now? If you're on the phone with them, always have a next step. That's going to go forward to being a guide, right? You're going to hear this over and over again. Speed to lead, talking versus listening, being a guide, value over price. And so with just the information, it was up to me to extrapolate the value, right? You're like, what does extrapolate mean? That means to take information and predict the future with it. You have to look up the word. You have to figure it out. I don't want to figure it out. That's where you have to be the guide. So the first one was a decent call. They gave me all the information I needed. It was quick. Fine. The second I called about an hour later, and I actually missed the call because I was in line. I was getting my tags renewed. Have you ever heard that story? Your questions you don't ask are costing you money. you'll know that I'm on my registration this year. And so I did not answer. I was in line waiting to get my admissions done. I'm sitting there. They called back. So I'm still sitting in line. I was like, I might as well answer. Let's see who this is. I answer it, and it's one of the companies I reached out to. So pause. I love that. Call me twice. If I reached out to you, said, hey, I want some information. Hey, I want a quote. I raised my hand and said, I need your business. Don't feel guilty for calling. I've given you permission to reach out to me. And here's the thing. You're going to be like, well, I don't want to bother them. We'll just wait for them for us to call us back. People are busy. They never heard of you before, so they don't know the number. A lot of people don't even check their voicemails anymore. You need to be proactive. You need to call them until they tell you to stop or they answer the phone, right? And here's the thing. Well, we don't want to harass them. What are they going to do? Not be a customer twice? They already haven't paid you. So the only outcome here is the same or a client. Now listen, I'm not telling you to call them 5 times in 5 minutes. Don't do that and then say Bruce told you. I am saying is you don't get points for calling people. You don't get points for I left a voicemail. You get points. You get paid for talking to people. Conversations create clients. Your goal is to talk to them. Your goal is not to call them. It's not to email them. It's not to text them. It's to conversate. That's where a client comes from. So I love that. I'm already happy. I'm like, yes, you called back. Great. Hey, I answer the phone. Bruce, how can I help you? He said, Bruce, I'm here to help you. And he did a little bit more talking than I would have liked. But it was educational. He set the expectations. He's like, here's what's going to happen if you do this. You're going to go this way. If you do this, you're going to go that way, right? Which outcome do you want? I was like, ooh, that's a good question. I was like, well, this outcome. He's like, okay, here's how I can help you get there. He acted as a guide. It was phenomenal. Actually, that's who I'm going to work with. Because he kind of gave me a picture of where we're at and how to get to where we're going. And that guidance showed a lot of clarity and experience. It set him up as the expert. I was like, I like this guy. So I actually got his number right here. This just happened. So I'm making this video and I'm going to post in a few minutes. This just happened. And so those 2 calls were yesterday. So those are some things he did well and that earned my business. Was I felt like he knew what he was doing. And that's a good feeling for your clients, for your future client. There's some trust there. There's some credibility is transferred there. And that's really where you'll hear me say a few things like clarity closes deals, conversations close the deals, confidence closes deals. So confidence is huge on the phone, in person, where we can have higher conversion on these inbound leads. We can talk about outbound, but when people want to hear from you, they're expecting to hear from you, that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful place to be. Instead of we're not looking for you. You're right here. You're in front of us. So those are gold. So I said, all right, I'm going to work with him. And the one thing that he didn't do that I want you to do is set the next steps. Right? Okay, Bruce, when is our next conversation going to be? Can I go? When are you going to be able to schedule? When are you going to make a decision? And it's not the pressure or rush them. Say, hey, it could be next month. You'll say, okay, what's happening over the next 30 days where, you reached out today, but you don't want it for 30 months. Some people tell you, hey, look, I don't have the money. Okay. Or they'll say, hey, that's when we move in, right? So it's not intrusive. It's a valid question. Fast forward to this morning, maybe less than an hour ago, I get another call. And they called twice. And I was like, I was on my accountability meeting, so I didn't answer. And then they called back. And I was like, hey, it's Bruce. This person was talking so fast. And they had a very strong accent. I could do one or the other, but I can't do both. All right. That's me personally. That's advice to you. If you have a customer-facing role, they have to be strong in the language the customer speaking. They just have to. And unfortunately, for home service businesses, it does get to be a bit of a popularity contest. Is it fair? Is it? It is what it is. So your customer experience starts before that phone even rings. It continues when they pick up. And I will give credit though. Whoever set up that script did a really good job. They asked me my name, confirmed my email. I would have liked they confirmed my number. I thought it was a little strange because you called me and I answered. So obviously this number's good. So instead of saying what is your number, I would have liked something along the lines of, hey, is this the best number to call you on? And then I would say, hey, is your email Bruce at New Skills New You, or would you like me to change it? Right. So that's a subtle shift. And what's your email? Versus, hey, is this the best email? Is this the best number? Now you show up prepared. You show up knowledgeable. Like, okay, they know what they're doing, right? Again, anything we can do to build credibility quickly is huge on these calls. Another thing I would have liked to see, this goes for everybody that called me, is an email and a text. Now, 2 of them sent me a message after we talked. But again, if someone goes on the Angie list and they type in a home service, they're going to say, let me get some quotes. People are going to start calling them. So to break through the noise, speed to lead is going to help, but multiple touch points is going to be huge too. And I'll talk about that at the end of the video. I'll give you a nurture sequence. So I really didn't have a great experience with that one. She asked me a bunch of questions and she's like, all right, you're going to get this in email, schedule an appointment when you're ready. And just kind of hung up. Very transactional. Didn't ask anything about why I was calling, what I was hoping to accomplish. So not going to work with them. And it's tough because there's not a lot to go on. A 4-minute conversation can make or break that future client. But that's why I'm here, right? I'm here to help you make sales simple. I'm here to help you hear yes more often. So now this last one is why I made this video. About an hour later, phone rings again. And this guy is also talking super fast and super muffled. It sounds like they're like right here on the mic. And for about 45 seconds, I had no idea what was going on. Eventually he said, this is Bruce, right? I said, yeah, it's Bruce. He's like, you called about this home service, right? I said, yeah. So, okay. So now in my head, I'm like, okay, that's why they're calling. It shouldn't hold your breath for 45 seconds. That's a long time not to know what's going on. I'm sure a lot of people might have hung up. But phones pay me a lot of money, so I usually take calls. Don't call me without an appointment. Use the calendar link to book something. All right. So then, okay, now I can hear him, but now I can hear everything. It sounded like he was washing dishes. And he's like, oh, sorry for the background noise. I'm taking out the trash. And I'm like, sir, when you're calling someone, listen, right? It's quiet, right? I've got a microphone. Give people your full attention. It's a reflection of your business. It's a reflection of their professionalism, a reflection of their priority. Like, hey, is this important? Or am I interrupting you, sir? All right. I thought it was funny. I don't take out any points for that, but it definitely is not going to help close more deals. So he starts talking. He's talking to me. And he's like, well, what do you want to do? I said, well, I'm gonna make this phone call and I'll check on your insurance. And he said, that's not gonna work. He's like, this is gonna happen. They're gonna need proof. They're gonna need evidence, documentation of the cost. They're not gonna, you're gonna have to get reimbursed. They're not gonna pay for it up front. And I said, okay, he probably knows better than I do, but it just felt a little maybe condescending, right? And so I said, okay, well, I appreciate the insight, but they open in a few minutes. I'm just gonna give them a call. So then he repeats it. That's a big pet peeve of mine. And I get it. Some people need a little extra explanation to understand things, but he just repeats it. At the end of the conversation, he ended up repeating it 4 times. He's like, yeah, it's not going to work. It's not happening. You have to do. And so instead of being education or guidance, it just ends up being disagreeable. And that's a subtle shift where you don't want to be on the opposite sides of the client. You want to be side by side with them moving forward, right? Now we're on the same team. I'm here. He did have a bar. I wrote it down. He said, I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here to solve a problem. I was like, that's good. So I definitely love the confidence in that call. This one also did not set next steps. I don't know why they're so against either setting an appointment on the phone. If it can or won't, then all right, fine. When are we going to talk? Right. So I don't know if that's just a lack of training. Maybe y'all need to call me. Okay. We're always going to have a next step that takes a to do item off the client's list, that it instills confidence. Please always set a next step. I will say he did give some good education, and he had a lot of confidence on what to do, how to do it. He's like, listen, man, I'm the best on my team. I own the business. We're gonna make sure to take good care of and get you what you need. I said, man, this is great. You just kind of feel like a VIP, like, oh man, the owner's showing up. Now I know for me, I'm trying to fire myself as soon as this year out of my business. So I'm just doing a training or two when I want to, right? And I'll do speaking engagements and workshops because that's what I love to do. Everything else I'll automate or delegate. But that's for me. For him, man, he wants to get in the field. Great. That's a great selling point for a client. He gave me some best practices too. What's going to help in the short term and the long term. So I really appreciate that. He had showed him very knowledgeable, very experienced. There's one more thing he did do that I was just like, man, this isn't going to work. He complained that he said, man, I had to pay just to talk to you. He's like, yeah, $60 just for the lead. He said it 3 times through the conversation. And that's what prompted me to make this video. Okay, look at me. Don't complain to your clients, right? Don't do it. Period. So I say, okay, thank you. Do you have any other questions for me? And so he paused, and he's like, well, do you have any questions? What are you thinking? And I said, well, I'm conflicted. He said, what are you conflicted about? I was like, well, I'm thinking about hanging up on you. And he's like, well, is it something I said or what's going on? I said, listen, I make sales simple for business owners like you, help them turn more conversations and clients. This just wasn't a great experience. If you want some training for you and your team, I'd love to help out so you can hear yes more often, right? And he's like, wow. He's like, well, I have to keep that in mind. I'm always looking to get better. What advice do you have for me? So, okay, you got me. Like the coach mode switches on. And so I'm going to give him 3 questions. Maybe I'll clip this one right here. Right? 3 questions. You can turn those inbound leads for your home service business into paying clients and referrals, right? So I told him everything I told you all. Listen, I will never talk behind your back. I'm going to tell you to your face. I told him the same thing I told you all about education, about confidence, about setting next steps. And then I gave him 3 questions. I said, here's what you're going to ask. He's going to ask, how long have you been in your home? That's a simple question that's going to give you a lot of context. I said, how long do you want to be in your home? A powerful question because now it talks about their motivation and their priorities. The 3rd question, I said, how are you going to feel or how comfortable will you feel if nothing changes in your home? And this is an urgency question, right? If they're like, it's fine. You're probably, it might take a little work to get it close. If they say, man, no, I can't live like this, right? You say, hey, I'm going to help you out. Let's get this taken care of quickly. And so now those 3 questions are going to help you turn more conversations to clients. It's going to help you convert those inbound leads for your home service business. So I had to make this video because I realized the reason these leads aren't converting is your fault. It's not a bad lead. It's not bad timing. It's not too expensive. It's your fault. You're creating an experience that discourages clients from working with you. So doing the opposite, asking better questions, listening to the answers. I really am going to do a whole section in my next book on listening. How do we communicate confidence? How do we communicate credibility in a call quickly? How are we setting up next steps? And I promise you, I'm going to give you this nurture sequence for converting leads better. How do we hear yes more often? Okay, so those are some of the things that I've done. Again, from home service businesses, B2C, B2B, SaaS, enterprise, small business. These are best practices that always work. And I'm confident if you implement them, you're going to see an improvement in your conversion on lead in less than 30 days. Just by adding those 3 questions. Just by changing what's your email to, is this the best email? Small changes make a big difference, okay? It's not about downloading some expensive software. It's not about implementing AI, right? Those can be useful, but I'm going to help you grow your business by asking better questions. There is no larger return. Asking questions is free. There's no larger return on investment because all I have to do is get you one more client. One more that was a maybe, that was a no, that was a ghost. Just one more in a month. Man, we're already looking better for the quarter. We're already looking better for the year. So here's what you're going to do. You get an inbound lead. There's 3 things that need to happen immediately. You need to get an email. Thank you. Someone's going to call you soon from this number. They're going to get a text. Someone's going to call you from this number. That can be instant. That can be automated. Because I understand you can't always hit the phone right away. We could automate an outbound call. I don't like to do that for a first touch. Maybe for a follow-up, right? So, and then we're going to get that call as soon as possible. The call should start off with, hey, I'm looking for Bruce who called about this home service. They're going to say, oh, hey, that's me. This call is for me. Do not start with, hello, my name is Bruce from New Skills New. I make sales simple. Is this? I already hung up. I don't care. But if you say, hey, I'm calling you because you asked me to, they'll say, oh, I should listen to this. This is important. If they don't answer, leave that on the voicemail. Then it says, yes, that's me. That's what I want. Hey, great. Bruce, listen. My name is from this company. I have a few questions for you to see if we're the best fit. And if not, I'll make a recommendation. They say, yeah, great. And we have a set of questions we're going to ask. If you start there, you're going to see a huge transformation in your conversions. Just right there. So now, okay, let's say they don't answer. Leave a voicemail. Call back within 1 hour. I will also send another email with some testimonials. I want to make the decision to work with me as easy as possible, as clear as possible. Yeah, this is the people. I need to work with them. Then a text message. Say, hey, we tried to call. We missed you. We left a voicemail. Here's our number, and maybe leave their hours. Or if you have or if you're ready to schedule an appointment, right? Click this link. I want to make it as easy as possible to do business with me. So you're going to get a call, an email, get a text. Is that a lot? Yes. But here's a question. How much does it cost if you don't get this client? Now, let's say for whatever reason, they never respond, or if they do respond, say, oh, no, we changed our mind. Oh, we already hired someone. Say, hey, thank you for letting us know. Is it okay if we send you some useful homeowner tips, whatever your industry is, right? So if it's a SaaS company, say, hey, can we send you useful tips on scaling SaaS, right? Building a team for a SaaS company, whatever, periodically. They'll say, oh, sure. Put them on a nurture list. Monthly is the farthest increment. Bi-weekly seems to be a sweet spot. I've seen weekly work, but send them something. Here's what happens. It's a home, right? They're going to need your business. They're going to need support in the future. You want to make it easy to find. So instead of going to Angie's List and now all these people are calling, or they're just doing a Google search, they can just look, man, didn't they just send me an email? Let me go to my email. Here it is, right? I'm calling you because you're the last person that emailed me about this. It's simple. It's 12 emails, right? You can automate it. It takes a few minutes, but it's valuable. This is where we get repeat business. This is where we convert leads we paid for a year ago. They're paying us back today. And that's, again, these are the small changes that can make a big difference in your business. So to wrap up, right? Speed to lead, value over price, listen more than you talk, and be the guide. Always set those next steps, right? So my name is Bruce Hill. I make sales simple for businesses just like yours by teaching you to ask better questions. So instead of costing you money, these conversations are becoming clients, and we help you hear yes more often.